Okay, it is June 30th. We're going to do This Week in Landscaping, and we're going to be talking about blooms, specifically the transition from spring blooms to summer blooms, which is right where we're at right now. We're kind of at the tail end of what will and has bloomed from a spring perspective, and we're moving into the season of stuff that's going to really look good during the summer. So I'm actually not starting with this rose. I'm going to move over to this ugly picture of this lily. It's actually like 4 feet tall. It's a pretty jungly plant, if you will. It's got these big green leaves. It does blooms beautifully, these yellow blooms. You can kind of see the traces of what they used to look like in the spring. I've taken pictures of this one before. It was actually down to nothing, just mulch in February, and just blows up through the spring, blooms really strong, has these big strong green leaves, and then the blooms fade once we get into some of the warmer months, and so it's past its peak blooming season, which we're seeing on lots of stuff, but you'll end up, by the end of this video, we'll get to some really pretty images. These are purple heart. We've talked about these before. This is a ground cover. It doesn't get taller than 2 feet, maybe 1.5 feet. They have these little purple blooms that are good for pollinators. I think my best bloom in this picture is probably this guy right here. But these do really well. And I mean, I've seen them in full sun and shade. I think they do really well all over the place. But they have these little blooms that are pretty and purple. This is Mexican bush sage. It's past its peak blooming season. You can kind of see what it used to do I got a bumblebee over here. Hello there. But it'll grow these purple blooms all up to stalk. Right now we're kind of on the last leg. You might get another bloom or two depending on where it's at in your yard. Another like season of like all of it hitting one more time, but again we're kind of at the end of Mexican bush sage blooming season, and it'll be healthy and strong throughout the rest of the summer as a plant, but it just won't be pollinating anymore. This is a coral drift rose. You can tell over here I've kind of got some of the weaker blooms. It's falling off. These are kind of, they do well in the spring, but they will bloom well through the summer if you water them and you deadhead them. What does deadheading mean? It means you basically, I don't have a good image here, but you basically break off the stem right here. When it's this one's about to bloom, but if you have like a dead dead flower here, you break off the stem of the bloom. What will then happen is it will regrow a bloom in that spot if it's getting proper water. You can kind of see here, see how there's like a V here. What ends up happening is if you break off this dead rose, what will happen is it grows into V's, and it will actually grow 2 blooms in that location. So deadheading actually promotes additional growth of blooms, additional blooming, which is why you see like the little old ladies in like the rose gardens with their little snippers and cutting all the roses away. One, because you get cuttings of beautiful flowers, but 2, it promotes additional blooming on roses, which is a cool like symbiotic relationship between old ladies or just anyone and roses. But these coral drift roses will do well through the summer. This is a close-up of a Turk's cap. You get it. It looks like a cap, like a Turkish cap hat. These are native. We had these growing in the greenbelt behind my house. Every single year it would die all the way back to nothing, and then not really die, but like the winter will just obliterate these. And I would cut them back with like some, again, hand loppers, and then they just come back. This is like 4 feet tall, and they have these nice red blooms at the top. Hummingbirds love these. This is a close-up of salvia. We're getting more into the plants that are going to be thriving naturally in the summer, that do their best work in the summer. This is salvia greggii, and they've got multiple colors. Just next to this one, there's a white one, but they've got these kind of blooms that are kind of flat down like this. I guess I wish I had focused the picture right here so you could see it, but you get the idea. And these really do well in full heat. So these are going to start to really show off, especially if you can give them just enough water. They don't need to be overwatered. But classic Central Texas. Speaking of classic Central Texas, this is a lantana, specifically a purple lantana. Man, these can live on the side of a cliff in Texas. They're just so resilient. This is from a tree, actually. This is a desert willow. Desert willows are super resilient through the summer heat, so this is a good example of exactly the kind of plants that will start to really shine in the summer. They do generally bloom more in spring, though this was taken this morning. You'll see these blooms, and you'll see more of them pop out if they get a deep watering, whether you do it artificially or we get a big rain. They'll just put out more blooms throughout the summer. But man, these plants need next to no tending once they're established in Central Texas. That's why they call them a desert willow. I think they're great plants. They're very similar to crape myrtles in that they are native. Well, I guess they're not technically native, but they're plants that have adapted to being native and have really pretty showy blooms. This is like peak season right now for crape myrtles, guys. All the whites and pinks and the deep red, whatever you call the deep red, they're all over the place. My daughter was out underneath shaking them the other day and getting the little blooms all over her hair because she wanted to look like a fairy. She looked great. But these are really peak season, and then I guess we're really about to be in peak season for the private Barbados. You can see this one's still got these that are about to bloom, all these little pods that are about to bloom. Which, I mean, these plants are so showy. You can put this in full sun, 107 degrees, and they're just going to rock throughout the summer. If you give them just enough water, they will be so pretty for you. So if you got an area of your yard that you'd like some color, that's full sun in the summer, this is what you got. The general theme here is a really well-designed lawn or yard landscape will understand what blooms at what time of year. We'll stagger those things, or we'll at least have a plan and decide what they want to bloom at what time, so you can stack your blooms across the seasons. Or you can just choose to have a really beautiful March if you want to do that. But knowing your plants, when they bloom, what their ideal microclimates are from a sun perspective, from a heat perspective, from a watering perspective, will allow you to get the most out of your yard. So, hope it's helpful. Cheers.